Hi, Mr. Miranda. How are you?
Hi, good to see you.
I'm a huge fan. You're a legend for me. We don't talk about Bruno.
Thank you.
The Lion King was the first movie that I watched in the movie theater, so it means the world for me. How challenge for you was to step in this universe and create music for a sequel?
It was very challenging. I mean, it's a huge responsibility. The challenge of writing songs in this world, it's a really elite group of songwriters who have gotten to do it. It's Elton John and Tim Rice and Beyonce and Levo M and Mark Mancina. What made it easier was working with Barry Jenkins, who had such a clear vision of what he wanted to do with the story. A great script that was so specific in terms of the storytelling that actually half of my song titles started as lines of dialogue in the script. I always wanted a brother, tell me it's you. Those were all lines of dialogue that I was like, that's a great song title. I have no notes. Um, and then also working with Lebo M and Mark Mancina on the arrangements of my songs because they had a long history with Lion King, the original movie, the Broadway musical. So I knew if I brought them my songs, they would help me get it to the level where it could live in the same world as these other great songs.
Ora, o que temos aqui?
Sai da frente, deixa eu ver. Anda!
How many songs did you write for the sequel? And can you pick a favorite?
I think there are seven songs in the movie. Probably the favorite changes every day, but I'll tell you, I was at a Disney event last night and Barry and I presented Tell Me It's You, which is the ballad, a ballad in the movie. And I'm really proud of that one because I grew up in the era of romantic Disney duets, of, A Whole New World and, Kiss the Girl. But I hadn't ever had a chance to write something really romantic for Disney before. So that was a really nice privilege.
Mostrar novo lar e uma nova família.
And I always wondered, they send you the script and then you create the songs, or you sit with the writers and create the songs while they're writing the movie. How is the process of composing?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because with Moana and Encanto, it was very much the second thing. We kind of all created the story together at the same time, and we decided when we needed music to take over and when, as we were figuring out the story. With this one, the story was very clear, and my job was and it's also an intense story. There's a lot of chases, there's a lot of in that way that the original Lion King was intense. I mean, we dealt with a father dying in the first one. And my job was to kind of create these moments of peace and grace and joy inside the story. And I also, but they were all super clear. And so the script already existed in this version. I think the one thing I pitched was the villain song, because I really wanted to write a kick-ass villain song. I'm really proud of the one I wrote. It's called Bye Bye, and it's sung by Mads Mikkelsen in the movie.
É começar novo reino. Vem com a gente.
You become one of the most prestigious composer of Hollywood. There's any other franchise you like to step in and make something new?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I don't know. I'd like to write a James Bond song if they keep making James Bond movies. That's a very specific assignment that I haven't had a chance to do. But I think that for me, what's interesting is after the success of Hamilton, when I take on a project, the first question I ask myself is, what am I going to learn from this process? And for me, this was a very easy yes because Barry is one of our great filmmakers, and Lebo M is a hero to me. So I knew I would learn a lot working with these great artists, and I take that with me to the next project, the things I've learned. So it's really going to be the unexpected thing that shows itself that I can't say no to.
Course, any song that you composed for Mufasa that didn't get into the movie and maybe getting the next movie?
There was a reprise of Milele, but that doesn't really count as a new song. It was just sort of a different version of the song that we recorded, but just never quite found a place for it. And then the other thing that, it just never quite happened was, and it's like I'm so close and yet so far, is that Beyonce is in this movie, but I did not get to write a song for Beyonce, which is like I'm almost there. But as the kids say, I'm holding space. I'm holding space to write a song for Beyonce one day in the future. That would be a dream.
And did you consider to bring back Elton John?
Well, no, I mean, I think after 2019, he was like, God bless, I've done my section of Lion King. And he's got all these other incredibly exciting projects. He's got The Devil Wears Prada opening in the West End. He has Tammy Faye, which just opened here on Broadway. So Elton John is booked and busy.
You create songs that resonates in the whole world and become memories for children for life. How does it feel for you to create this legacy?
I mean, that's the whole thing, right? I fell in love with Disney because of the musicals. It was because of Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast, and that golden age of Alan Menken and Howard Ashman writing these unforgettable melodies. I remember wearing out my CD of The Lion King and memorizing Hans Zimmer's orchestral pieces. So to think that any of my songs live in that place in people, that my heroes' music lives in me, is really a dream come true. And I think for me, the most important part of being an artist is staying connected to that kid who falls in love with music, that younger version of yourself that can be transported by music. Because when you're young, imagination is free, and your job as an artist is to protect that imagination.
And Wicked became one of a hit in the box office. Do you think that means Hamilton live action might be on the way? Would you like to see that?
No, I've always kept the door open for that, but I always, again, the reason Wicked is the hit it is you've got an incredible director in John Chu who had a very clear vision of what he wanted to do, and he dreamed so big, and he was like, "It's two movies. It's the Lord of the Rings of musicals," and it was such a beautifully executed vision. I'm very happy with the version of Hamilton that Tommy Kail directed. That's our show that lives on Disney Plus. I'm certainly open if a director has a way of doing it that's different than that. But until I hear that, I'm pretty happy that we got our original cast, or most of our original cast, on screen.
And if they decided to have a sequel for Mufasa or for The Lion King, which character would you like to create songs for? Which spin-off would you like to see in the future?
Here's where I get to talk about my favorite direct-to-video sequel, which is Lion King 1.5, which is the entire events of The Lion King from Pumbaa and Timon's perspective. It is the underappreciated gem in the Lion King universe, and if you haven't seen it, it's on Disney Plus right now. It's really good. But, Billy Eichner is a close friend of mine. I've known him since we were doing theater together in New York as very young babies. And he's a wonderful singer. So I'd love to get to write something for him to sing.
Mr. Miranda, I love you. I'm a huge fan. Thank you for the interview.
Likewise.
You're amazing. Thank you very much. Hope to see you in Brazil soon.
Oh, I would love to. Thank you.